The market was a sea of green today as a bunch of stocks across the entire market exploded to the upside, all while the United States national debt is about to break that $32 trillion level. In today's video, we're going to go over the best setups for tomorrow and the most important news that you need to know about right now. But Tom, all I'm going to say is that it was a brutal day for the bears out there.
Yeah, it really was. Look at that heat map. It was a sea of green. And the funny part about it is, guess where there was red? Tesla was actually closing down in the red there. Nvidia was red. AMD was actually down 2.4%. That one was actually really, really weak. Watch to the end of the video. I actually talk about AMD a little bit more later. But man, Mike, look at these bigger tech stocks. Microsoft, Meta, Google, Oracle, Adobe. Adobe's even doing good in after hours now with their earnings. That's amazing. Amazon's up. Walmart, Costco. Like, it was an amazing day. Even the banks had a huge moves. Like, look at BlackRock there, 2.7%. Charles Schwab having a nice pop as well. So seeing some amazing continuations. I know that we talked a lot about some of these day trades from yesterday. And man, some of the day trades that we talked about definitely exploded, especially the ones to the upside. Like, look at Microsoft this morning. That breakout about 339 to 340 was fantastic. And even if we go over to something else like Apple, man, they broke out to that new all-time high, 186.50 up there at the top. What a move. And that daily chart is just starting to get so overextended on some of these stocks that it's insane.
Exactly. And as you speak of Apple and all-time highs, you're forgetting about good old Microsoft. Believe it or not, they actually joined the new all-time high club today just for a couple minutes, and then they came back down. But yeah, Microsoft is another one of those stocks that's now in the all-time high club. It's crazy to see. And, you know, as you look at these powerhouse tech stocks, whether it be Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, AMD, Meta, or anything else, honestly, you look at them and you say, you know what? They're so damn overextended, but at the same time, it's so hard to short them too, because it's like every single dip that happens just gets bought right back up.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I cannot believe the way that these charts are starting to look, but it's making for some amazing intraday price action. Like, for example, with Microsoft today, I was really waiting for that break. You know, just like you said, we were running up to that all-time high. It was a pretty good target up there. So, you know, we got that big break. It made for a great opportunity as we passed that high of this week. And it was like this for so many other stocks. If we go to my watch list on the left side of the screen, look at all these big numbers here. I know we're not seeing a ton of stuff over 10%, but like Square, Target was up 3.4%, Mike. I know that stock has been getting destroyed lately. It was good to see them coming back as well. And I know that these China stocks had one hell of a day as well. I know you actually called out Baba last night, and look at that baby explode.
Let's go. So yeah, we have one more day left for the week, Tom. So let's really make this one count. So I know everyone's looking at the market right now and they're saying, all right, yeah, it's up so much, but what do we need to know going forward? I saw this awesome information on Twitter today by Charlie Bolello, basically showing how the stock market does, for the remaining part of the year, given the giant run up that we've already seen. So we could see, looking back all the way to 1928, Tom, talking like 95 years here, we could see that the start of 2023 has been the 15th best start to the S&P 500 within the first 113 trading days. And that's awesome. And we could see out of the, 14 times that already happened, out of the already 14 times that we've seen run-ups like this, 10 of those times have continued to run higher. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, it really is. I know a lot of people always talk about, different situations like this, and people love to see hypotheticals like this. People will say, well, hey, what are the statistics on, I even hear some people, Mike, it's kind of funny sometimes. They'll say, on the third Thursday of every March, the stock market drops. It's always cool to see like funny statistics like that. And this is actually very, very helpful. And honestly, this is a lot of knowledge for the rest of the year. Like you said, it doesn't always continue, but it looks like history shows that if you get a good run up like this, the second half of the year, you usually end up pretty high. Now, what I will say, Mike, is that it looks like those final, 100 day 114 to year end there, that definitely is, not as strong statistically as the first, 113 days. Like, look at that, 19.3% in 1997, but then the second half was only 9.9%. I did notice it's a lot lower most of the time there as well on that second number.
For sure. I mean, I was just looking at the rank 14 for 1991. At first, it had like a 14% run up in, the beginning half of the year. And then for the remaining half of the year, it ran up another 10.2%. So I guess what everyone is asking themselves is, what's going to be the story for 2023? Of course, every single year is unique, but most of the time we do see a continued run up. So that's very interesting. And another thing worth noting, Tom, is, the AI boom is continuing. Take a look at ticker symbol AI. This stock is just insane right now. It is trading for like $46.37. And just a couple months ago, this stock was trading for like $10. So that's crazy. And it's just like the momentum we're seeing out of these AI stocks is like truly unmatched.
It really is. And even AI, that was a fantastic setup heading into today as well, kind of trading down on that trend line for a couple days after that recent explosion. And today we came in with that big breakout, and it wasn't just AI in that sector. Like I said, NVIDIA even had a pretty good day. I know that they closed down red, but look at that move down there before the market opened. Once we actually opened, we started running back up. I know Meta actually had a really good day as well, 3.1%. And I love these AI stocks, Mike. These AI stocks are some of the cooler stocks that we've seen. And I actually saw something where Adobe actually had their earnings tonight. I know a lot of people have been waiting and watching about this one. They actually talked a little bit about AI at their report, and the numbers are actually looking good here. It looks like they beat on EPS, they beat on revenue, which is good, and their outlooks are looking pretty decent. So I'm glad to see that, Mike. The numbers came in at least, above expectations. It didn't really wow me in any way, but they did mention AI, I saw in a couple articles. So very interesting there for Adobe. I know that they are one of the biggest stocks out, or one of the biggest companies out there for like video editing, photo editing. They have Photoshop and Adobe Premiere and a ton of other products like that.
All right, I'll make sure to keep this one close on watch for tomorrow. But we do have to shift over into some what I would call scary news. Again, we're going back to Charlie on Twitter, and we could see that the U.S. national debt has already increased by $508 billion since the quote-unquote debt ceiling was suspended, and we're just under the $32 trillion mark for the U.S. national debt, Tom. It's just like, sometimes you ask yourself, like, why does the market keep on going up? And it's just like, when in doubt, just turn those printers back on.
Oh, yeah, just keep the money churning in. That's exactly what people like. And hey, for the long-term portfolio, Mike, I'll be honest, I've been pretty happy with some of this upwards movement that we've been seeing lately. But to be at that $32 trillion mark is just insane to see. And I actually see another really cool chart here that shows the ceiling. And man, Mike, you can see during COVID, we were very low. Right now is one of the lowest levels it's ever been besides COVID, where we had that obviously insane situation there. I cannot believe that deficit is down as much as it is, Mike. It's just, it's definitely going to be tough for the economy over the next few years. But then again, it just seems like we just keep, borrowing more and just keep raising the ceiling every year. So we'll have to see. Maybe they'll finally do something with some of the negotiations over the next couple of years. But I know it's actually starting to piss a lot of people off. A lot of people have been saying that they need to finally, step up. And I'm not saying that they should default, but there were actually some people calling for defaults during that time a couple months ago.
Yeah, it gets scary, because when it's like, when push comes to shove, it's like when you're running a $2.1 trillion deficit and you have $32 trillion in debt and you have rates booming, it's like, that's not a good mix. And it's like, you can just see, actually, can we go back to the deficit chart really quickly? We can just see like how much worse the deficit is getting year after year after year after year. And I know right now it doesn't look as bad as it did during COVID, but like, we're talking about a deficit of 2.1 trillion versus, over 4 trillion. So it's like, it's still horrible, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And COVID was a crazy situation. That was just a weird, I would say that's like a very one-off event. That's not going to happen, but, once every, 20, 30, hell, even maybe once every 100 years with some like weird disease, causing that much volatility in the market there. But, it's going to be crazy, Mike. The SPY's running up. What's interesting to me is that the SPY is actually, not very close to their all-time high, but we go out to the NASDAQ. It's getting pretty close. We're at 370 right now. That high's up around 400. Let's see. We only need to go up about like another, 10 to 11% to finally break that high. That's going to be pretty big for us.
All right, there we go. Those tech stocks are booming like none other right now. So, Tom, like I said, we have one day left for the week. So let's make it a good one, and let's get right into some setups for tomorrow. One stock I'm watching very closely is PayPal. This stock has taken a beating over the past couple years, but we are actually starting to see some daylight at the end of the tunnel. We can see it is back above that $65 mark. And Tom, I'm going to be honest with you. I could see this one retesting that like $70 to like $69.50 resistance sometime soon. So I'm going to be watching this one to the upside, not only for tomorrow, but even in the next week.
Yeah, and what I love about PayPal is that they're starting to get some good momentum, and they're also very, very low. Like they just had a big move to the downside. They fell under that 70 support. They created a big gap. That is going to be a very, very fun play for the next few days. I also am a fan of PayPal. Now, with my first one, I know yesterday I went towards some bullish type of plays. Today, I have to go with AMD, and I'm actually going to go with it to the downside, Mike. This stock was actually super, super weak today, given the overall market's move, down 2.43%, fell off a lot throughout the day. And if we can get under this intraday support, which, you can see these couple candlesticks right around 123.80, then I'm going to look at puts to the downside. I think this could be a pretty good play. It was very underwhelming today, considering that even, Apple, Microsoft, a lot of those other stocks were flying up, but AMD and NVIDIA really lagged.
There we go. And Tom, my next one is a stock that is literally rocketing to the upside right now, and it is SPCE. This thing is booming in after hours on news that it set its first commercial space tourism flight for this month. Like I said, the stock is booming right now. For those of you who don't know, Virgin Galactic, they're like a space company, and they're getting involved big time with legit space tourism, and they have some flights booked for June 27th. They're set to do the launch window on between June 27th and June 30th, and we can see that there's a backlog of over 800 passengers right now, which is awesome to see. They have a second commercial flight set for early August as well, and it looks like for this flight right here, it will carry 3 members of the Italian Air Force to conduct microgravity research. So let's go. The stock is booming, and there's some pretty big news behind it.
Yeah, and we've talked about SPCE a lot in the past, Mike. And when does this stock always pop off in the course of its history is usually whenever they get these really big launches like this. So let's go SPCE. That's awesome. If we look at them on a daily chart, Mike, man, they have been beaten into the ground. I remember a couple years ago, this stock would get insane runs. Like I remember actually catching it on a couple of these runs of the upside in the past, but it's been getting beaten down. So I'm really glad to see it having some good news here and finally moving back up. I think that the stock deserves a little bit more. It's space tourism. It's the only company out there that does this as well. And what I love is that, 800 backlogs, that's quite a bit. And those tickets are not cheap. Imagine how much it would cost to get into outer space. So good stuff, Mike. I really like that play, and I think it'll be really good here for the next couple days. I'm a fan of that stock. It usually gets some bigger moves coming in. With my second play of the day, I'm actually going to go with a bank stock, Bank of America. I noticed those banks started really coming back today, and a lot of stocks are breaking these recent points of resistance. You can see Bank of America is sitting up here. There's a big resistance right around $29.80 to $30. If we're able to break that tomorrow morning, I'm going to look at a big continuation play on Bank of America. It's not just this stock, though. I also like Wells Fargo. They had a nice move today. JP Morgan Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they're about to break a high too. So there's a lot of opportunities, I think, in this banking sector.
Awesome. Now, Tom, I hate to jump back to my play, but there's just a little bit more I have to add. You mentioned that those ticket prices are not cheap, and I would just like to elaborate on that just a little bit more. A 90-minute space tourism flight for Virgin Galactic costs $450,000. So, definitely not cheap at all. And, it's good to see that, they're definitely picking up some steam here and they're definitely making some progress. And if we look back at SPCE, the stock right now is at $6.30. And, as you mentioned, it has a volatile history. So I'm pretty excited for this one.
Yeah, $450,000 tickets with an 800-person backlog. Oh my gosh, Mike. I mean, that is going to be an insane amount of money, number one. Number two, I think they're going to get a lot of publicity whenever these commercial flights start to happen. It's going to be awesome. We're going to get tons of pictures, videos, hopefully anyways, and tons of stuff like that coming out. But it's amazing to see this one running up as much as it is. I love it for momentum, Mike. And it's going to be one of those stocks that I think everybody should add to the radar for the next couple days.
All right, good stuff. Well, Tom, it is now time for those momentum plays. With the first one, we have NIO to the upside.
NIO, big move today with those China stocks, make them break above 990. Also watch the incoming resistance right around $10 even, but that was a nice high of day there today.
All right, with the next one, it's a little bit boring, but bear with me a little bit. It's TLT also to the upside.
TLT, I will say though, Mike, for being a boring play, it actually had a pretty good move today. So I like to see TLT running up like this. Go ahead and make them break above the high of day right around 103.60.
And with the last one, we have JP Morgan, and we need both directions.
Yeah, I love this one to the upside tomorrow. A lot of potential here. Go ahead and make them break that high of day right around 143.60. Now, if they end up falling back under intraday support right around 142.50, then go ahead and look at puts.
Sounds good. So you guys heard Tom. We have that downside level on JP Morgan. If it breaks below that, we're watching it for puts. And then don't forget about the upside level as well for calls. And then also keep a close eye on TLT and that crazy stock NIO to the upside tomorrow. They're only bullish plays if they break above the resistance levels. But Tom, it is now time for the $1.2 million big money trade of the day, and we are looking at TEVA. Another stock that isn't mentioned too often, but someone dumped $1.24 million into the TEVA 9-strike call options that expire on December 15th of 2023. So let's take a look at TEVA's chart right now. We can see right now it's trading for around $7.50, I should say. And it's pretty oversold when you look at the daily and weekly. But it is one of those crazy pharmaceutical stocks. So anything with, drug news or FDA approval or any optimistic trial or anything like that can send stocks like this to the moon or also to death in some situations. So, it's a big money trade. I would say it's high risk, high reward, but overall, I do like the setup. If any good news comes out, this thing can really rock it. But like I said, if you're going to play it, make sure you can handle the heat.
Look at the monthly moves on this stock, Mike, from the low to high. Look at this, 43%. You go to the next one from low to high, 30%. You go to the next dip, low to high, 63%. The next dip, man, 50%. Where are we going to go on this dip? This is a pretty big one. We just had a 37, 38% dip to the downside. Usually whenever this stock bounces off of these lower levels, it's been getting some big moves. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen here, but with the big money coming in here at this time, and with it being low at support like this, it's got to be one that you got to throw on the radar, Mike. I might not go with the 9-strike calls if I was going to chase it. I might go a little safer with the 8s or something like that, but I still like the play, and I think it'll be pretty fun if this one starts to uptrend again. Like, look at some of those uptrends. Like, I can't believe it, Mike, and I don't know if this is all news based on every single one of these or not, but I would doubt it. I would think that a lot of this is just buyers coming in too.
Yeah, well, let's go. Tom, we have one more day left. We got to make it count. We're seeing so many stocks that are At least getting a lot closer to their all-time highs if they haven't already broken them already. I am very excited to the end of this week. You know, we have big news with SPCE, the big tech stocks are all over the place, so I am pumped up. Do you have any final thoughts before we close out?
Yeah, it's going to be wild. Just keep your eyes out there for some of these other stocks like GLD, for example. I noticed that one was running up today. Silver. I think that those metals will be pretty good here for the next week or so, especially if a little bit of pullbacks start to come into the market. But I'm loving these day trades, Mike. You know, Microsoft was a really fun one today. And I love finding these good plays where we can see good resistances, find good breakouts, and get into some of those continuations, just like we did today with Microsoft. And it's been working out quite well over the past couple of weeks. So let's go. I love these continuations, and it just makes for so many good opportunities. There's been so many amazing posts in the Discord lately with people making some amazing profits, and it's just so awesome to see that.
Awesome. Well, speaking of the Discord, Tom, let's give a giant shout out to today's member of the day. Some of you already know who this is going to be, but it is Manny. He has been on fire lately. Huge shout out to Manny. He's been crushing it and he's been super active, and you just deserve a shout out, man. So awesome job. Keep up all the great work and activity. Huge shout out to you. And for everyone else, if you are not already subscribed to the Stocked Up YouTube channel, what are you doing? Make sure to subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. I know a lot of people who've been subscribed to the channel, Tom, are pretty happy with that Intel price action over the past couple days. Just a couple days ago, we alerted everyone of a $21 million call trade on Intel, and the stock has been booming ever since. So when you subscribe, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often, and in every single video, we cover, you know, big money, hedge fund, $1 million trades. So subscribe up if you're not already, and let's end the week on a great note.